You have to let them know directly, this is what's going on. Communication is key here. In my head. Hello everybody, how are you? If you like mental health, if you're new here, I do mental health videos Monday through Friday. Hit subscribe, this is the place for you. Tonight we're going to talk about a way that you can excel in your personal relationships to make sure you don't wind up feeling too hurt or feeling like there's problems. We got a solution for that, so let's talk about it. So what is this silver bullet for relationships? What do we do if we want to prevent ourselves from being harmed and have healthy relationships? Well, what we need is boundaries. And you probably heard of boundaries before. I've done a couple of videos here on this channel about them. I actually worked on some worksheets for boundaries. And if that's something you're interested in, I will put the link for my Patreon page where you can get some free worksheets and a free overview of what boundaries are. But let's talk about it here. Boundaries are a way to, you can kind of think of them as a way to step back and to prevent that person in front of you from harming you. So, I like to take things to an extreme. If somebody was in front of you and they had a knife, you wouldn't go towards them, you would go away from them. So that's what a boundary is for. A boundary is supposed to get you away from the harm, and the harm being the other person. Now in relationships, we all make mistakes. We all have things that we do wrong, and we're going to harm people. So that's expected, and that's normal to get hurt in relationships. There's no perfect relationship where you're never going to get hurt. That's just unrealistic to ever expect. And usually if somebody gets hurt, the other person lets them know, and then there's an apology and there's kind of a reconciliation, and that would be kind of like a healthy way of relating. I know it doesn't always go that way. We sometimes have arguments and sometimes things go back and forth, but generally a healthy relationship, there's some kind of mending going on. But if somebody's constantly overstepping your boundary, there's a problem. So we have to know what our boundaries are to know if somebody's overstepping them. A boundary is invisible. It's not like a real thing. I can't give you a list of boundaries that you can follow because everybody's boundaries are going to be very different. Everybody has different things that feel unpleasant to them. And so you have to decide your own boundaries, and you have to choose how people are going to treat you. That's kind of what boundaries do. You make the choice of what is hurting you. You know best. You're in touch with your own body, and you're in touch with your own emotions, and you know what gets you angry, what gets you feeling sad, and what is triggering you and making you angry. So you have to communicate that to your partner, and that's the first step of setting a boundary, is letting them know, hey, something that you're doing probably as a pattern, is bothering me. If somebody does it once, you kind of forgive them. If it's something they keep doing, you need to set that boundary. So the first step in setting a boundary is letting that other person know, hey, I don't like when you do this. It doesn't feel good for me when you do this. And that gives them the opportunity to know how their actions are affecting you, because they may not be able to tell. They may not see it on your face. They may not understand why you're getting angry. And you have to let them know directly, this is what's going on. Communication is key here. After you set the boundary, you have to connect it to the consequence. So a simple way to do that is, if you continue to do this, then, if I'm telling you this is harming me, if you continue to do this, then I'm going to do something. And then you have to decide what the consequence is going to be. The consequence is going to be something to protect yourself. It's not to punish people. And I know people get this confused sometimes, because the word consequence, as they know it, means to hurt somebody, to punish them, to somehow put them down, but that's not what this is about. This is about protecting yourself, so you have to do things that are going to protect yourself. This means removing yourself from the situation, having less intimacy with the person, distancing, stepping back. As I mentioned, if somebody's coming at you with a knife, you don't walk towards them, you step backwards. So you may go for a walk. There's many things that you can do, seek support elsewhere, and of course the ultimate consequence, which we have to be prepared to do, is to end the relationship, because not all relationships are going to be healthy. You can only control your side of the relationship, and if somebody is constantly abusing you, constantly putting you down, constantly harming you, that's not going to be a healthy relationship. It doesn't matter what you do. You could pour a billion waterfalls of love into them, they're still going to hurt you. Now, obviously, you don't just straight jump to breaking up with the person unless it's somebody that you just met. You know, if you just had a one-night stand with somebody or something and you're just not interested, you don't really have to owe them an explanation. You don't even have to set a boundary. You can ghost them, as it's called, because it's not really ghosting when you don't really know the person. It's acceptable. It's not maybe the best behavior, but it's acceptable because we've all been there where somebody has continued and continued and continued and continued to press on, trying to communicate with us where we didn't want to, we didn't feel comfortable, and we don't have to say no to have that respected. We are entitled to our own privacy and our own space, but you don't have to jump straight to breaking up with somebody if you've been in an intimate relationship with them. The point of the boundaries is to slowly walk backwards so that you don't just go straight to breaking up with them. You put in place a system so that you communicate what hurts you and you back away every time that person hurts you. And that way, if you do break up with them, it's gradual, but it doesn't have to get to that point. You may just need space around certain issues, and they may need to think about it and think about how to change their behavior, and this gives them the opportunity to do that. Now, of course, if somebody continually oversteps your boundaries over and over and over again, this is not somebody who's respecting you, and this is not somebody you want to be in a relationship with. So that might be the time to consider breaking up with them and ending the relationship, because if they can't respect your boundaries, then there's no way to have a relationship with them. So in general, I find that people who have trouble with boundaries are people who either don't feel like their emotions should be expressed, or they put other people before them. Let's put it that way. Usually these people, you may be one of them. I've been one of them in the past. There's no shame in it. You think highly of yourself because you put other people before you. Maybe you don't even think you think highly of yourself, but you probably think like you're a good person because you let other people's needs come before you and you're always taking care of people. And so when it comes time to express a boundary, you don't feel like it's right. You feel like, well, I can deal with it. Even though they're hurting me, it's not a big deal. And you kind of like let it go, and then you let it go and you let it go until you're really being harmed and sometimes being abused because this person is continually harming you. They may not even be aware if you haven't expressed it to them. So if you're that kind of a person, you have to kind of work on yourself and figure out, why is it that I am not comfortable setting a boundary? What is it about me and expressing myself that is so difficult? Now, I am creating worksheets that will go up tomorrow, so by the time you see this, they'll be up already, up on my Patreon page. Those are going to be for patrons only, so you have to contribute a little bit to help me continue to do this here on my channel, but you'll get access to worksheets that will help you through that. There are free worksheets already up on Patreon about boundaries, and I'd love for you to go over there and check them out, because it's like a quick cheat sheet. It's not like a big, it's not like homework. It's not like a big thing. This is for your mental health, right? You want to improve your mental health. You want to improve your relationships. So those worksheets are over there for you, completely free of charge. And then if you feel like you need the extra help is there, and you can just contribute a little bit to get access to them and become a patron and become a part of my community here. So check that out over there. If you're new here, please subscribe. I do mental health videos Monday through Friday. As I said, it's a lot of fun for me. We discuss a whole range of different topics, so maybe if this wasn't your thing, there could be something else. I have over 200 videos on my channel already on my way, because I'm doing 5 a week, so I will have plenty more if you subscribe. Just hang in there with me. And thank you as always for joining me here. I'd love to hear from you. What issues do you have around boundaries? I've heard from a lot of people about this, and I've heard that they have trouble setting boundaries in their relationships. They know the other person isn't right for them, but they struggle to say no. They struggle to back away. So what is it about that that's so hard for you? Leave that here with the community, and maybe we can give you some tips. If you maybe have a tip, share that below with the community. Thanks as always. I'll see you around, everyone.